Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Capitola City Council. Welcome everyone who's here in the audience, and I also want to welcome and thank everyone who may be watching from home, whether live or videotaped. And so on tonight, this is a special joint budget session of the Capitola City Council and the Successor Agency to the former Redevelopment Agency. It's great to see all of you here this evening. And so why don't we begin, Sue, with a roll call.
Councilmember Harlan.
Here.
Councilmember Norton. Here. Councilmember Bottorff.
Here.
Councilmember Termini.
Here.
Mayor Story.
Here. Next we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and led by Councilmember Termini.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. The next item is a listing of additional materials. We do have at the dais this evening, we have a report on sales taxes for the city of Capitola. I'm not quite sure for what period this is, but it is a change to the agenda packet. And we also have a publication, looks like Where Does Your Sheriff Candidate Stand on a Permanent Government Informant in Santa Cruz? So those are the two items. Oh, excuse me. There is also an additional item. There is a letter from the Human Care Alliance signed by Karen Delaney, President. So, yes, Tori.
Mayor Story, just for clarification, the item in relation to sales tax is just an adjustment to the budget document for clarity on the fiscal year 17-18 Measure D revenues.
Great. Thank you, Tori, for that explanation. Next, we come to public comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items that are not on tonight's agenda. If you would like to speak to the Council, you'll have 3 minutes to tell us of your issues or comments. Is there anyone that would like to make a statement? Yes, sir.
Mayor, Councilman Gary Richard Arnold. Political machine is all about lying, cheating, protecting the wheels and cogs to gain power and position for its benefactors. There's been a conspiracy. If you could ask him to be quiet, please.
Yeah. Let's let Mr. Arnold speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sue, would you be sure to start the countdown clock?
Thank you. There's a conspiracy to impose a political machine here, and they wanted to control the sheriff. The sheriff is a very important election. The political machine used a tactic by having the sheriff resign just a few days before the possibility for other candidates to file. Although this time there are 2 independent candidates that managed to make that tight thing. The conspiracy included endorsements that were solicited even before that resignation. And those people included this mayor and a number of other mayors and members of this council. It's made up of both Republicans and Democrats who are preparing for a martial law takeover. Santa Cruz has been adopting World Bank protocols through the United Nations Agenda 21. One of the most powerful lobbies in the state of California is called California Forward. It's a portion of Common Cause which was founded by the Rockefeller brothers. In 1987, October 25th, Assembly Speaker Willie Brown had the Office of Research study on getting rid of California's 58 counties and 445 cities. And this program has never been abandoned. It's been put under different names like Agenda 21. And it calls for the surreptitious expansion of UN agencies, the IMF, and NATO trade pacts. It includes the adoption by the supervisors from the head of planning and by Dan Hafley of Save Our Shores, it turns out that the program that they adopted was actually written by a World Bank operative. The Mid-County Post talked to the person from ICLEI, which is a front for the World Bank and the United Nations. These laws are being adopted both at AMBAG, which is not being reported by you to the people. You're supposed to come back from those meetings and let them know how their self-government is being destroyed. A lot of laws are being put in position for an emergency, and you're responsible for that, and you're not doing it. The 3 newspapers in the area have been bought out by the Bilderberger Group. The Bill Gates Foundation bought the Sentinel, they bought the Monterey Herald, and they bought the Mercury. They also bought Lost Landing. The incrementation of their power continues to exist, and it's ignored by people that we elect that we think we're getting self-government, yet you're part of a political machine. The United Nations Agenda 21 final draft was signed by Sam Farr, who flies the United Nations flag. The attack on the independent candidates is throughout the newspapers, and people can see just the endorsements by the machine candidate. They can identify them like that. There is an informant program that was started by the present sheriff. It's CIA generated, and there's not enough time to go into that, but it's very important that they vote for an independent sheriff rather than the machine candidate.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the council on items not on tonight's agenda?
Stop me if this should have been on tonight's agenda. We're with the Diversity Center,
And
the 60-plus program. So my name is Jane Swickgarth. I'm
are
the volunteer
you speaking
coordinator.
on the Capitol's community programs funding?
Yes.
That is on tonight's
Okay.
agenda. Why don't you wait until we get to that item? It won't be very long from now. Anyone else like to address the council on items not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comments portion of the meeting, and then we will move on to City Council, City Treasurer, staff comments. Let's start with staff comments. Any staff comments? Notice the City Treasurer is not in attendance, and so we'll go to City Council. City Council comments. This side? Stephanie, any comments? Okay, we'll move on then to the main course, which tonight is under General Government Public Hearings. We have the continued budget study session on the proposed 2014-15 fiscal year budget for the City of Capitola General Fund, the Capitola Successor Agency, and the Capitola Improvement Program. The recommended action this evening is to receive a report on community-based health and human services providers and continue City Council Successor Agency budget deliberations and provide directions to staff for preparation of the budget resolutions for adoption. So Kim, may we start with a staff report? Hi, Lisa.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As you know, this budget study session is devoted solely to the community grant-based groups. As you know, the council considers separately the funding amount that's in the budget and provides the staff with direction on how to proceed with a recommendation to bring back to the council, and that's what we're here to do this evening. So I'll provide you a brief report of the request, and then we'll have a presentation by, I believe, the Human Care Alliance, and then other groups as well, correct? Okay. So let me start by saying that each year what we do is we start the budget with the status quo of the previous year's funding level, which last year the community-based health programs received $254,000. I'm just going to round numbers. And so the request we received to the HRA program, which is a contract-based program, which is I think very helpful for the groups to apply, so they could just do one application. And this year we had 42 returning grantees, and then we had 3 new grantees request funds this year. For the 42 that have applied for refunding, they requested in 2 separate scenarios. One is they requested a COLA, but not all groups have requested a COLA, and that amount came to $6,021. And in some instances, as you see in your staff report, they requested additional funding, and they had additional reasons why they had requested that as well. And that amount came to $19,000. And so for the returning applicants, the total request was $280,000. Again, I'm just rounding. So previously it was 254, now it's 280. The new groups, we have 3, Elder Day, which is part of Community Bridges, Companion for Life, and the Walnut Avenue Women's Center. And those organizations, those 3, combined a new additional requesting of $18,000. So your total, if you look at the bottom where it says grand total request on your spreadsheet, is $297,552,000. And as you know, in the budget, we have lined out $254,270. And so previously, you had selected Mayor Story and Councilmember Termini to be on a subcommittee to review the applications, which this is something we did the previous year as well. And what staff is recommending is that the council provide some direction to, some parameters and directions to the subcommittee, who then we will come back to you, we'll consider the applications based on your direction, and then come back at the June 4th meeting with a recommendation to this group for consideration. And if you have any questions regarding the details of the spreadsheets or any of the applicant process, I'm more than happy to answer those for you. If not, then we'll go ahead and move into the presentation portion.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Are there questions by council members on the report? Well, seeing none, we'll move ahead with the presentations. I would like, I understand, and as typically done, the Human Care Alliance is going to make a general presentation. I wanted to see, though, how many folks are wanting to speak on new programs or supplemental requests. I just want to get a sense of how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like quite a bit. So I think I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes on the new programs, supplemental request, and we will start with the Human Care Alliance presentation.
Good evening. My name is Kate Hinnenkamp. I'm director of the Live Oak Family Resource Center, and I'm co-chair of the HCA Capitola Jurisdictional Committee, along with Scott Winslow from the Central Coast Center for Independent Living. Thank you for having us here. On behalf of the Human Care Alliance, I'm here to thank the entire Capitola City Council for your investment in a safe, healthy, and thriving community. By contracting with the HCA, with HCA members and other service providers, the City of Capitola is sending a clear message to Capitola residents. You matter. From infants to seniors, from families struggling with poverty or abuse to people living with illness or disabilities, Capitola leads the way in Santa Cruz County in looking out for its most vulnerable residents. Over the past several years of recession, when other jurisdictions looked immediately to cut community programs and balance the budget, Capitola recognized that even as times were tough for the city, times were equally tough for individuals and families. And you only reduced funding for human services as a last resort, and even then by making as few cuts as possible. Please know that your exemplary level of commitment has not gone unnoticed. The Human Care Alliance and the city residents we support are truly grateful to the City of Capitola for being there with us through thick and thin. We're here to thank you for that. Times are looking better this year. Fewer homes are being foreclosed on, and more people are back to work. There are no longer empty storefronts at the Capitola Mall. Of course, the need for human services remains. Low-income families still require dental care, foster youth still rely on advocates, and homebound seniors still need nutritious meals. Our long and productive relationship with the City of Capitola gives us every reason to hope that, with your support, these vital services and the people of Capitola will remain strong. Thank you for all you do. I'm going to hand the mic over to a few HCA member organizations who have requested new or supplemental funding this year, and they're going to address you briefly. And then Kathleen Johnson from Advocacy, Inc. is going to wrap up the HCA presentation. And you may even see me back up here in a minute to talk about supplemental funding. Thank you again for your time.
All right, thank you, Kate.
I'm going to have to cut this down to 2 minutes, so I'll try to be quick. My name is Mary Cashmar, and I'm particularly honored to be able to address you this evening as I wear three separate yet interrelated hats. I work for CASA of Santa Cruz County. I'm a court-appointed special advocate for a 17-year-old girl, and I'm also a resident of Capitola. I want to address some of the questions that the city may have about the number of clients CASA serves compared to the funding that we receive. I think some of the confusion lies in the way CASA reflected numbers served in this current application. In prior years, we used numbers served throughout the county and extrapolated from those to estimate the numbers of Capitola children that are served. That extrapolation process is necessary because the number of children in foster homes in Capitola does not accurately reflect the number of Capitola children that are in the dependency system. The number in our jurisdictional submission this year reflects only the number of children in foster homes in Capitola. But because most foster homes are in Watsonville, because housing is more affordable, most of our children are there. We do not receive data on the home of origin of our CASA children. However, we know that the city of Capitola is not immune to childhood abuse and neglect. And given the rates of children in dependency care, we know that children originally with their families in Capitola are now living with living outside of the city in foster care. They are, however, still the children of Capitola. The money we receive from the city of Capitola is the only money that we receive from the city. We do not receive Medicare money or funding from Human Services, and we receive no fees for services. Our greatest emerging need, for which we are requesting supplemental funding, relates to youth ages 18 to 21. This has to do with legislation AB 12 that authorized California to extend foster care until the age of 21. As crucial as this legislation is for organizations like CASA, it is an unfunded mandate, so we must raise the funds to ensure that there's a safety net for those most vulnerable youth so they can achieve a success living as independent adults. I'm going to skip. I'm sorry. I know I don't have much time. In 2013-14, we received $2,957 from the city of Capitola. In 14-15, we would like to request the city increase our funding to $5,000 to help pay for staff to support an increasing number of 18 to 21-year-olds that will need our support as non-minor dependents through the next year. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Can I ask, please, that I leave some papers because I wasn't able to go through my whole spiel with you?
Yeah. Yes, you can leave those with Sue.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next, come on up.
Good evening, council members. My name is Gus Ceballos, and I am currently the program director for Companion for Life, Lifeline. We are a new applicant, and we're asking for funding. For those who are unaware of our purpose, I'd like to share with you what we do. For the past 25 years, Companion for Life has been providing, without prejudice and at the lowest feasible cost, a local medical alert system. Our goal is to equip this system to as many low-income individuals as we can. We provide it at a 50% discount when we can, or even at cost for those that meet our income criteria. Unlike other similar systems, we have trained technicians who install the equipment and who provide each subscriber with the personal attention that they deserve. The funding we are asking for would give our program the ability to provide our medical alert system with at least 20 Capitola residents for a full year. We would also provide a fall prevention assessment to at-risk individuals under partnership with the Seniors Council. If you have any further questions about the program, please do not hesitate to contact me. And thank you for your time, and we hope you consider our application. Thank you.
Yeah, Gus, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned it was for cost for those that are income eligible. What is the income eligibility?
Actually, it's poverty level. Poverty level, and I think right now it's around $980. And usually that's Social Security because they're either handicapped or elderly. Now, there is another kind of a bump in a scale for those that are between 150% of poverty level, but that's where we have to draw the line.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Clay Kemp, Executive Director of the Seniors Council, and I'm here regarding Project Scout's supplemental request. We're asking for an additional $1,700. And Project Scout is the program that provides free tax assistance to seniors and low-income families throughout the county, including in the city of Capitola. We do this completely with volunteers and one part-time paid coordinator. The volunteers have to go through comprehensive training. They have to pass an IRS test every year to become certified tax assisters. The program brings in countywide over $1.7 million in tax returns. Unfortunately, the way IRS records are, we cannot break that down by city to know what the return are, but we know it's a really valuable program for Capitola seniors. The real reason that I'm here, though, is our request is to bring our funding from the city of Capitola just to $5,000. And the reason we have this need for a supplemental is, no surprise, rising healthcare costs. And I want to make a personal plea for this. Our Project Scout coordinator this year lost her spouse on April 13th. Nevertheless, on April 14th and 15th, she was at various Project Scout sites helping people get their taxes completed, knowing the urgency that all of them had. And I think that any staff person that's that dedicated to helping to the community, not just to her job, she was really worried about the people coming in for service. And anybody who's that committed to helping others really deserves to have her health care maintained, and we're coming to you to help us in meeting that need. And we think it's a worthy goal. Again, like Gus said, if you have any questions about that program or Companion for Life, I'm actually here to help answer those questions as well. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, Clay.
Hi, I'm Lois Sones. It's a little funny. I'm the program director at Elder Day, Adult Day Health Care Center. We're part of Community Bridges family of programs. And first I'd like to thank you all for supporting human services the way you do. I know that Kate already talked about that, but I think it's remarkable the way Capitola does do that. And of course, I'm hoping that you will help support Elder Day more. So we have a new funding request to you. Capitola has not been providing support to Elder Day, at least in the recent past. And as you may know, we made a transition recently from the umbrella organization of Salud para la Gente in Watsonville to Community Bridges, back to Community Bridges, which was Elder Day's original home at Community Bridges in Aptos. And what our job is, if you're not familiar with Elder Day, is to take care of frail seniors with multiple medical problems and to keep them at home and out of institutions as long as possible. That's really the main purpose of our organization. And we do that really well. And keeping people out of the hospital saves a great deal of money. It's probably close to $3,000 a day minimum for a hospital stay, and our program is about $80 a day. So we do a really good job, but we're really needing to stabilize after the transition. So we need a little help with stabilizing. The other thing that we really, really need to do, I realize when I look at our numbers, is we need to do outreach to Capitola. We know the population here is aging the same way the population is all over the state. And we really don't have enough participants from Capitola. I know there's a need here, and I really would like to do very concerted outreach to Capitola. And if you approve that money, that will really help us both with stabilizing and with doing really concerted outreach to Capitola. And that really is all I had to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lois. Next.
Hello again. All right, that's better. Again, my name is Kate Hinnenkamp, Program Director at Community Bridges Live Oak Family Resource Center and HCM member. So Live Oak, it's in our name, but as I know the council members are aware, the people we serve go far beyond the boundaries of Live Oak. Last year, with your support, we provided 60 Capitola families with one-on-one advocacy, intensive case management, youth mentoring, and leadership development.
The Capitola City Council deserves recognition for investing in the well-being of Capitola residents in this way. The results speak for themselves. Healthier children and adults, lowered rates of family violence, improved school attendance, and much more. Gratifying as these results are, the need for comprehensive family support services doesn't go away. In fact, one of the advantages of the Family Resource Center model is that we're constantly adapting to meet new needs. For example, many formerly uninsured people are now insured thank you to the Affordable Care Act. And I'm proud to say that as a member of Community Bridges Family Resource Collective, the Live Oak Family Resource Center assisted in the enrollment of over 600 people countywide. So we're pretty proud to say that. But so now we have all these insured people who may not have had insurance in the past. Many of them don't have a primary care doctor. So our family advocates can sit down with people and assist them in signing up with a doctor and choosing a doctor that's right for them. When community needs change, we're there to help people navigate the tides. Another example, with the improving economy, many people are back to work, which is a good thing. But now suddenly they need safe and reliable childcare. Again, our advocates can sit down with people and walk them through the process of finding a good childcare provider. Capitola families rely on us as they strive to achieve their goals, but we're only as reliable as our funding sources. The termination of 2 major grants last year has obligated us to cut staff and reduce office hours. We now sometimes find ourselves in the unfortunate position of asking a parent in crisis, "Can you come back tomorrow?" And sometimes they don't come back. The $2,581 in supplemental funding that we're requesting from the City of Capitola will allow us to return our staffing to adequate levels and to meet the needs of Capitola families when they need it most. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Soledad Rosas. I'm an independent living specialist with the Central Coast Center for Independent Living, and CISO is a force for change in Capitola, working with people from the disability community since 1984. We support their equal and full participation in community life. I work with community members of any age and with any disability to provide the support that they need, which includes support groups for people with traumatic brain injuries, support so that they can access benefits, and support so that they can access housing. Today, I am here asking the Council to honor our long-time partnership by restoring CISO's funding to the 2011-2012 level. CISO has been hit hard by the economic crisis, and immediately prior to the funding cut from Capitola, CISO's Capitola staff dropped from 7 to just 3 employees. This left CISO and the communities we support in need of resources, and over the next year, the number of consumers served by CISO dropped. The further $10,000 cut from the City of Capitola in 2012 was devastating. In spite of these cuts, CISO has worked hard and successfully over the past 2 years to fulfill our mission to promote independence of people with disabilities by significantly increasing the number of Capitola community members developing their independence goals. Over the past 10 months, CISO has provided extended information and referral to 25 Capitola residents, each community member needing between 1 and 40 hours of service. CISO has worked with 18 Capitola residents who have developed their goals through an independent living plan. Nearly half of these 18 reached their goals, and now they are either receiving housing, benefits, or have developed new skills which are helping them improve their independence. CISO is committed to developing a deeper partnership with the City of Capitola to provide support and leadership in making this community inclusive and accessible for all. We are open to working with the council and the city staff to engage the community in prioritizing accessibility needs that will lead to full inclusion. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for considering our request to pass a motion to restore CISO's funding.
Okay, thank you for coming and speaking to us.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jane Slickerath. I'm with the Diversity Center 60 Plus program. Thank you for seeing us tonight. Last year I came to share the challenges of the LGBT elders in our community and ask for your support for our senior program. I want to thank you for the grant that began our partnership. While you consider this year's grant applications, I want to remind you of why your hearts opened last year. In short, research reveals that LGBT seniors are the most underserved of all marginalized groups in America today. Past history of discrimination and social biases have created an older adult population that researchers project 95% of them will retreat back into the closet as their abilities decline and dependence on others increase. Lack of support from families of origin, increased dependency upon families of choice, friends, and senior services. A study by the Resource Center for LGBT Aging found the 3 key elements for successful aging are financial security, health and health care, and social and community support. It's the final social and community support that we focus on. The 2 major obstacles are that LGBT elders feel unwelcome in mainstream aging programs. A study by the Area Agency on Aging showed that 46% of senior centers said that our seniors would not be welcomed if they came in and identified as LGBT. 72% of LGBT seniors feel that they are not going to be welcomed at senior centers and stay away. LGBT elders also lack sufficient opportunities to contribute by volunteering, by feeling unwelcomed. Research shows that the harmful effects of this type of social isolation include higher depression, poverty, rehospitalization, delayed care seeking, and poor nutrition. We believe that there are between 2,000 and 4,000 LGBT seniors living within Santa Cruz County. They are twice as likely to live alone as their heterosexual elders, half as likely to have life partners or significant others, half as likely to have no close relatives to call for help, 4 times less likely to have children to help them. The 60 Plus program offers our LGBT seniors opportunities throughout the year to break this social isolation, to meet others, to build a stronger social network, and provide volunteer opportunities with our luncheons, senior women's socials, and senior men's socials. Please help us serve Capitola City lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender elders. And we have a couple of our members here.
Hello, my name is Deb Abbott, and I'm a proud new resident of Capitola. I'm also the director of the LGBT Resource Center up at UC Santa Cruz, and I get the pleasure of working with young people up there. But our sister center, the Diversity Center, I'm here speaking on their behalf, and I want to just tell a personal story. In the community I live in Capitola, I know of a dozen 60-plus folks who personally have attended the 60-plus program, and to great benefit. And that's a very small neighborhood with so many folks in it. And what I can assure you is that there are many, many other LGBT seniors in Capitola who also benefit. But what I'd actually really love to do is say that I'll never forget, and a couple years ago when I personally attended the Thanksgiving dinner, Jane has been a long time, the long-time lead of the program. She was welcoming everyone. I don't know if she mentioned that she's volunteered her services for all of the years. So when you fund this program, you're getting an incredible bang for your buck because her labor's contributed. and there are many volunteers contributing to the events. But I digress, because what I wanted to share is that I brought my 85-year-old lesbian aunt to the Thanksgiving dinner. And I might get a little emotional because it was the first time. I turned to her and I said, Mary, when have you been around other LGBT people? Although she didn't understand LGBT. I had to say gay and lesbian people in this way, and been out. And she told me it had been decades. So what I'd really like to say is these look like perhaps simple lunches or social events, but they're incredibly significant. My aunt still talks to me about the Thanksgiving dinner that she attended when she was in our community. And I know that the meals also are a place for seniors to network and gain resources and connections. Many LGBT seniors, as Jane described, are very isolated and don't know about the many other resources available in Capitola and in Santa Cruz County at large. So thank you so much for considering. It's a very modest proposal and request, but the funding will go very far and make a very big difference to extremely vulnerable seniors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Alina Hammer is my name. I'm a member of the 60+ program at the Diversity Center. For all of us, for most of our lives, there was no L, there was no G, there was no B, there was no T. There were ugly words, there were hurtful words, there was hiding, there was lying, there was often an electric shock treatment. I currently reside, and I know that there's been a shift in society toward us, but for our generation, I currently live in senior housing. Except for the flag that I fly in my house, there's no evidence of the LGBT community at all there. When I go to different senior centers around the county, there's no evidence of the LGBT community there, and we're not really welcome. But when we go to the Diversity Center, we feel love, we feel at home, we feel pride, we feel welcome, we feel safe. Those are the gifts that you will be giving us if you grant this money. Please remember our faces and our words when you make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marty Brown, and I actually am the originator of the 60+ program. When I retired from UCSC, I worked for Meals on Wheels for about 4 years and became very aware that 70% of the people I delivered meals to were women who were isolated and living alone and often spoke of their loneliness. When I turned 62 back then, I decided that I was going to try to find a program for gay seniors. And so a friend of mine, we started this program at Jade Street. I led it for 9 years, and then Jane's led it for the last 4. And it's more than a meal. We thought of the meal at a very low, reasonable price, but we offer programs that focus on the gay community. Health issues, psychological issues, housing issues, travel issues, financial issues, and our community has been very open to coming to our events and speaking. We met for 4 years at Jade Street and then 5 years at Brookvale Terrace here in Capitola, where I'm a resident. And when we started this program, we were thinking we would get 20 or 30 people. Well, we have so many coming now that the parking at Brookvale Terrace is insufficient. So we've had to go to Interlight because they have a large parking lot. Our seniors need to go somewhere that's not gay identified because there's still the stigma and the fear of being out. Many of them are not out to family, and this is the place they come for information and for friendship. And it's incredibly valuable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Papo. I'm Executive Director of the Diversity Center, and I just want to say thank you for your past support. we stand for dignity and equality at the Diversity Center. I know they're values that we all share, and I know you have a very tough decision with so many worthy applicants, and we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Tegan Spicer, and I'm a resident of Capitola. I guess there's already been all the words that you probably need to hear in terms of the value of this program to a lot of people in the community. But I think the thing that I want to underscore is how much the contribution from the city of Capitola is really leveraged and makes it so that this event is one in which people are not excluded due to income. I think it's very clear from a lot of the people who spoke even before the Diversity Center that the issues of limited income and poverty, et cetera, are definitely ones that affect older people. So I want you to know that your money is added to business sponsorship and a huge cadre of volunteers that really makes it go a long way. So thank you for considering the increase of the request this year.
Good evening, Council. I'm Kathleen Johnson, Executive Director of Advocacy, Inc., and a now returned resident of Capitola. And I'm here to request our one-time only amount of $1,200, which with other requests and funders will go towards hopefully restoring, but better yet, replacing a 10-year-old computer system that is currently held together by a wing, prayer, duct tape, and a little bit of paper clipping when need be. Much of what we need for our communications and to be able to provide the data and the information, and may I say, utilize the common application system that has worked so well for all of the jurisdictions requires having an adequate computer. And I can tell you this year, my computer crashed 5 times while I was attempting to do the common application. We're in desperate need. So as a one-time only ask, we've requested $1,200 to go towards that need. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kathleen.
And I'd like to ask, are there any other HCA members who would like to speak at this time?
Good evening. My name is Norma Sanchez. I'm the program coordinator for the Shelter Project of the Community Action Board of Santa Cruz and a proud member of the Human Care Alliance as well. I am primarily here to thank all of you for your support. It is through your support that we've been able to assist homeless individuals and families, and also families at risk of becoming homeless. We provide rental assistance and mortgage assistance to prevent eviction and foreclosure. And thank you. Because of your funding, we're currently working with 6 families, an average about 25 people to keep them in their home. I also want to say that there's still some funding available for rental assistance. So if the residents of the city of Capitola are interested, they can call our program. Again, it's the Shelter Project, part of the Community Action Board. And I'll say that the number now for people that are watching on TV right now, it's 457-1741, extension 152, and that's for English speaking, and extension 153, that's for Spanish speaking. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nora.
Good evening. I'm actually speaking for 2 things. I'm speaking as a board member of the Community Action Board of Santa Cruz County. Norma has already spoken, and she's made a more compelling presentation than I could, but I have a personal reason for speaking tonight. I have a son who has issues, and he's being helped with the Cecil group. And so I have actually 2 reasons to speak tonight. One, that I cannot say anything greater about the Cecil group than they've said for themselves, but I am in gratitude for the services that they provide. So I just want to say that. For my son, I have a personal reason. And because he struggles, because he has issues, I think that the specific program that Norma speaks of, that is part of the umbrella of the Community Action Board, is also important because there are people, and my son lives on 42nd Avenue, there are people who are living in rooms or struggling to share or sharing rooms, and these people need help too. So those two agencies, one I've been privileged to serve for the past year and a half, and one that I met through my son and his needs. I have only good things to say, and thank you, and thank the City of Capitola, and thank the board members and council members for their work and for their listening and for their heart. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Judy Allen, and I'm here on behalf of the staff, the board, and the volunteers of the Conflict Resolution Center of Santa Cruz County. And I want to be very clear in my message today, and that is thank you, thank you, thank you. You have been amazing partners with us for many years in helping to support the work we do in the community. And hundreds of people from Capitola avail themselves of our services over the course of the year. And the grant that you provide for this allows us to make this a more affordable experience for them. And it helps people to unravel difficult situations and come to collaborative solutions. We also like to bring our training, conflict resolution training, into the workplace and into schools so that we can strike out on the mission to create a more peaceful community through respectful dialogue, avoiding hostility and litigation. So you have been amazing in your support of us, and we thank you for that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Tim Bratton with Gray Bears. I also just want to thank you for 3 decades of working together to improve the health and well-being of Capitola seniors through volunteerism, community participation, and most importantly, fun. This year, I just want to mention 3 quick numbers. One is $500,000. That's the dollar value of the healthy fruits and vegetables and staples like rice, beans, and lentils that we deliver to 363 seniors in Capitola each year, this year. The second number is $170,000, and that's the number of meals, healthy meals, that translates to. And the third is 47. That's the dollar value that Capitola seniors receive for every dollar you invest in Gray Bears, and so we value our partnership. And with me here is our master gleaner and great ukulele player, Ciro Milazzo. He's our board member too.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say that I've lived in Capitola for about 50 years now. I'm probably the last one on Sir Francis Avenue of the original owners. And I think some of my neighbors wish I wasn't so long-lived. but I think I voted for most of you at least once. Anyway,
Thank you, Sarah.
It's a great organization. I've been volunteering with them for about 20 years now, 92 or something like that. They do a great job. And recently, in the last couple of years, especially since Tim has become the executive director, it's really expanded and provides a lot more services to the seniors. It's a good organization. Yeah, I would support it.
All right.
All right.
And Ciro ran for city council once.
A long time ago.
Some of us have long memories.
Yes, by one vote.
I'm not sure how to follow that. Good evening, Council. I'm Kathleen Johnson, Executive Director of Advocacy, Inc., and representing the HCA in our closing of our presentation. You've heard from some of our HCA members. Specifically, we had asked those who were requested supplemental, additional, or one-time only money to be able to provide you the opportunity to hear the reasons why they were asking for that number. And you heard from a few others, but there are many others here who didn't ask for any supplemental, but we did ask for a 2.6% cost of living increase. However, we prefer to refer to it as a cost of providing service increase. It's not a cost of living that is traditionally seen as raising staff salaries, though we certainly wish that we were getting enough to do that. All of us have experienced and will continue to experience the rising costs of providing services for all of our agencies as well as for the city and everybody in their homes. PG&E has gone up. Rents have gone up. Our landlords who own the buildings where we have our offices don't really ever think about, gee, we're in a recession, we won't require a cost of living increase on an annual basis. That goes up. And so the 2.6% that we've all asked for is intended to try to address the needs of the increasing costs we have to provide the services to the residents of Capitola. 2.6% represents the CPI index of San Francisco, and as I believe was mentioned, it equals about $6,000. So we're hoping that you will consider recognizing the need for that while you're considering the grant levels and include it in your final determination. I'd also like to take some time to respond to some of the discussion that Council had regarding community programs and the contracting process at the last session. We were thrilled to hear that a 2-year contract would be considered. I think that everybody who is involved, from those of us who are preparing the contracts to the staff who has to deal with it every year, to the council who has to hear about it every year, would be more than happy to not hear about it every year. We would like to have under consideration within that hopeful goal of a provision that would include the recognition that the second year there is a cost of providing service increase included, and it can be based upon the CPI index at the time that can be then adjusted. If that 2-year contract can be worked out and we actually see it happen, that would be a provision that would certainly help us in that second year, recognizing that it is a 2-year contract, and therefore we understand it means no supplemental, no additional funding to be asked in that second year. And the other really exciting piece is the revival and I think even more realistic goal of a line item for community programs. As most of you are aware, we have been very, very supportive of seeing that happen, and we would be very enthusiastic to work with the city, have HCA representatives work with you over the next months, a couple of months or a few weeks or however long you choose to take in order to develop that and bring it to fruition. It certainly would be a benefit to all of us and to you as well, and recognizing, I think as Stephanie has said, calling it the elephant in the room, it does at least give us a parameter every year of what we're looking at instead of just a new hole in a budget that has to be developed and waiting to find out what it is. And I think it would make it much easier for the council as we move forward. So we would very much like to offer our experience, our expertise, and be a part of that conversation in an effort to actually see a line item come to fruition. So on behalf of HCA, I'd like to ask all of the HCA agencies to please stand. And on our behalf, we would like to say to this council and to past councils, thank you for holding the values and the principles that you hold as the city, and recognizing that we're a partner with the city and provide needed essential safety net services. Your support over the years has been exemplary, and we're hoping to see it become more exemplary as we move from our lowest level of funding here, hopefully up a little bit over the next couple of years. So thank you very much, and if anybody has any questions of myself, members, let us know.
Good evening. Ooh, is it okay to move on from HCA? I'm here about the arts.
Yes.
Wonderful, great. Good evening,
Your turn.
Mayor Story and City Council members. My name is Michelle Williams. I'm Executive Director of Arts Council Santa Cruz County, and in that capacity, I'm here representing over 50 arts organizations countywide. I first want to thank you so much for your leadership and your passion for the arts, which is evidenced in the incredible programs in Capitola and the very murals that grace your wall here in Chambers. A few things about the Arts Council and the work we've done in the past year. We had an incredible Open Studios tour with over 300 artists and over 10,000 community members and visitors. In our grants program, we granted over $200,000 in grants, including to thousands of people in Capitola who enjoyed the programs that we funded. And we served over 10,000 children in arts education, including children right here at Main Street Elementary. I was delighted to be here last month to share with you the Arts and Economic Prosperity Report, which demonstrated the economic impact of the arts in Santa Cruz County. Quick recap of some of those numbers. The arts generate $38.4 million in annual revenue for our county, over $1 million in household revenue, over 877 jobs here in Santa Cruz County, and $1.2 million in local government revenue. So we're not just providing incredible opportunities for people to create and explore and for children to develop incredible skills through arts education, but we're driving the economy. I'm here to make a special request. For many years, the Arts Council was funded at just over $4,000, and last year our funding was dropped to $930, and that's actually the request we made this year. I was busy having a baby when that request was made, but I'm here now, and with the information around the incredible economic impact of the arts, I'm here to request that the council consider restoring our funding to $4,000, close to our level from a couple of years ago. These funds are all invested in our grants program, which goes to those 50-plus arts organizations which directly serve so many Capitola residents. And I ask for this because we in the arts, we want to be a part of the greater community. We want to be a part of solving greater community challenges. And being that we are a powerful economic driver, by supporting us, you enable us to generate more revenue for your pool of funding to help all the incredible programs you're hearing tonight. So we want to be a partner to the community on the ground through specific programming, but also as a powerful economic engine. And it's been said before tonight, you have incredibly difficult choices in front of you, and I'm just grateful for the time and the partnership that we've shared with the City of Capitola for 35 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Willie, Food Bank Director for a long time, and I just wanted to come tonight and just say we absolutely love our partnership with the city, and we're just so grateful, for all your support on so many levels, so many projects, so many ways with both the city and with the residents. I wanted to give a special shout out to Councilmember Termini, stepping up to help lead the Capitola movement to end hunger and poverty, so we're excited about that. Thank you. Had a good talk at Gales the other day, where a lot of business is conducted in Capitola. So, and as you all know, our local network of agencies and programs distribute over 100,000 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables in Capitola every year. And as we all know, food is medicine. So over 1,300 Capitola residents a month directly benefit from this grant, including Peggy and Ed Tusher, from Bay Area Senior Apartments, and Peggy would like to say a few words. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and again, my name is Peggy Tusher. My husband Ed is at the back of the room, and we are residents of Bay Avenue Senior Housing, Senior Apartments. And we are really grateful for the twice monthly food pantry and appreciate and acknowledge the partnership between the City of Capitola and Second Harvest. The rising cost of food, the co-pays for prescriptions really take a hit on a fixed income, a monthly fixed income. So the food pantry is a way for us to have nutritious, fresh food, and it really helps get through a month when the month comes to the end. I hope that this vital partnership will continue because it helps so many seniors here in Capitola. and I'm one of them. And I really appreciate the work that the City Council does. I know it's got to be grueling and difficult, but I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.
Hi, my name is Joy LeClaire. I'm from Parent Center, and as you know, we work with child abuse prevention and treatment. And our director usually comes and presents to you, and she's down south at a national drug court giving a presentation herself on one of our innovative new programs that we're really pleased with. We know that we're doing good work with this program, and we are proud of all of our programs. We worked last year with 900 adults and children. And so we just want to let you know how grateful we are for your support, and of course hope that you will continue to support us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Capitola Council members. My name is Raymond Cancino, CEO for Community Bridges. Being the second largest nonprofit and serving close to 10% of the county population, we provide many services to Capitola and its residents. I would like to thank you for your leadership, your continued support of all our programs, including Live Oak Family Resource Center, our Child Development Division, Meals on Wheels, and Liftline. I've actually enclosed some thank yous from some of our Meals on Wheels participants for each one of you. We understand that with so many competing interests and civic needs, expansion of community programs is sometimes difficult to do. This year, we are asking Council to consider providing additional support to help expand services in our community and to address the anticipated service demands in Capitola and our community at large. We are all aware of what has been described as the Great Tsunami, which is our aging population will double in the next couple of years. And we need to invest in services that will provide the support and care for specialized populations, and it's an essential part of our vibrant community. Nowhere else in the county do we see the demographics rapidly approaching faster than in Capitola. This year we are asking for $5,000, as spoken by Lois, for Elder Day, one of the only Medi-Cal accepting adult day health programs in our county that will help address our low-income seniors and adults with complex needs. Adult day health programs help our community in various ways by allowing individuals to live independently longer, allowing enough respite time for family members to pursue other opportunities, such as employment. Ever since the LUTE announced their potential closure, we have seen our caseload drop. We need our help to raise our ADA and to make this program viable. With this $5,000, we look to do outreach specifically for Capitola and to help invest in our future. Our second ask is for Live Oak Family Resource Center, because Capitola does not have a family resource center, and we see many clients from Capitola search out to our open doors and to look even into our open doors, not have family resource centers. Sorry, time's coming up. So we just would like to also appreciate you for your public service, your support to helping us into our mission and to improving the lives of children, families, and seniors. We appreciate your consideration, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close the microphone. I guess I wanted to bring it back up to council and first ask council members if there were particular questions that they may have on anything that they've heard to this point. Yes, Dennis.
I have a question maybe Lisa could answer regarding Cecil. I don't remember a cut to them by that figure. Was it how did that happen?
So last year, when we did the subcommittee, there was more of a focus on the needs of health and human services. That's how we ended up actually changing the name. It was places that provide shelter were the focus, and so there was, I think the subcommittee made that cut, and I think the number of clients served was it was a little bit lower than what the subcommittee had thought would be deserving of that amount, and so it was redistributed.
Okay. And that figure they gave us is correct then?
It is.
It is. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Anything else? Willie, I had a question. Your request for additional funding of $390, that seems like a cost of delivering service request.
We have our food costs are going up, and we're
Right.
just trying to not have to cut the amount of food. So we either have to figure out how to get more food or just buy less food. So,
Okay.
yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Willie, for clarifying that. And I wanted to ask staff about the Cultural Council's request. We just heard for an additional, what I would consider supplemental, but it's not listed in our matrix.
Which one are you at?
And it's the Cultural Council of Santa Cruz County. Here it's listed as steady funding, and there's no information about Capitola clients or.
When the reporting comes through for how they enter in the contract portion, they must have left clients out, and I don't know if Michelle can answer that, if they actually have the ability to count Capitola clients necessarily.
Okay.
How they would define it.
Right. Yeah.
But is it correct that no additional funding was asked for until tonight?
It's not listed here, but I have another second printout. I'm just trying to look to see if there was. Can you confirm that? There you are.
Yeah.
Hello. Two questions. What was the first?
Actually, it isn't. Cultural
Yeah.
Council didn't ask for any additional funding.
We did not, and that's when I was on my maternity leave, and we just didn't get the request. That we made our request of the amount from last year, and so we didn't make up at the proper time. I'm well aware.
Okay. So, but you're asking this evening for us to consider an increase up to $4,000.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely. And did you want me to speak about the clients in Capitola?
Yep. Well, yeah.
Sure,
I mean,
I'm
it's
happy to. Certainly. And again, I wasn't here when we prepared the grant this year, but in talking with my staff, it's very difficult for us to parse out. We fund so many grantees that do countywide events that we know Capitola residents attend, so it's very difficult to actually parse those out without being really specific. We know how many children at the schools that we serve, but we know it's thousands, and we just don't want to put a disingenuous number. We just know that our impact is strong. So that's what they said. We're trying to develop ways to be more specific about counting those residents, but we know it's a strong number.
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So with that, I'll bring it back to council for deliberation and potential action. Is there? Yes, Stephanie.
Well, I haven't had a chance to finish reading all of the applications. I've gotten through about 3/4 of them. So I'd like to schedule another meeting or another part of another meeting that we can get into the nuts and bolts of all this and look at the numbers and look at the recommendations from the subcommittee and look at other concerns that we have. I don't know if I'm not really ready to do it tonight, other than to say, generally let's continue what we did last year with the COLA, and willing to consider some new programs, but I want to talk about them a little bit more with the council, and I'd like a little more time to finish reading the applications.
The way I read the staff direction, they want a general idea of where the council wants to go with this, and that's sort of what I'm looking for as one of the two members on the subcommittee. So I'm not ready to speak in favor of any particular organizations because we have yet to meet as a subcommittee, but just a couple of general comments, and I'll listen to how the rest of the council feels about additional programs. I don't know how any of you do what you do. I really don't. I know what your budgets are like. I know how much money you get, and I know what you do with it. So, well done. I think we have to remember that we're responsible to the citizens financially, but we are responsible to everyone that lives with us. It doesn't have to be within the boundaries of Capitola. So we have responsibilities that go beyond the people who elect us. I think that Stephanie said a really moving thing to me before the meeting, even though she wasn't ready to say anything. Sometimes council members say things regardless to each other. And I had some concerns about the disparity of some of the things that we give to certain groups versus other municipalities. And she said, well, we shouldn't care about that. Not a very, eloquent necessarily statement, but right to the point, and that's basically it. Doesn't matter. There's comparisons don't matter here. I'm very much in favor of 2 years. I'm very much in favor of CPI for both years, this year and next year. And I'm pretty much open as a member of the subcommittee to hear what the council feels with regard to additional funding. And let's see. I think we save by doing this not only in services delivered by Capitola, and we've all known that, we've seen it. These organizations help us not have to spend departmental money doing things that they do, but we save, and I'm thinking of Cecil necessarily, in that we save in general because the system, if you will, doesn't have to provide these services. The community-based organizations do. So there's a foundation of savings all the way around. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Yes, next. Ed, anyone else?
You want to go, Dennis?
Go ahead, Ed.
You know, this is a very tough time of year for all of us. As Mike mentioned, you know, there's a definite need in the community, and we are thankful for what you do. From this position here, it makes it even more difficult because, you know, our job is to provide services. That's the job of the city. We have responsibility to the citizens that live in the city. We have a responsibility to our employees, and a responsibility to all the groups that are here. As I look at the numbers, you know, Mike's point and Stephanie's is well taken about how much money we distribute, and I think it is worth mentioning that we probably percentage-wise give more to nonprofits than any city in the county, and I think that's a great compliment for the city of Capitola. With that being said, you know, we have a responsibility to try to provide for our citizens also. We just got done doing a contract with our employees, and I think a lot of them came to the table, and it pretty much was a 0% raise. So they were happy with zero. You know, it's not a bad thing in this time. Not taking things away sometimes is reasonable. Cost of living, I think it's reasonable. I think it's something that I can support. I think we pretty much have a number here that works for this city. Having a cost of living, having expenses go up is a reasonable request. I'm not sure about how I feel about additional funding. I don't know if we're in a position to do that. A lot of the income that we have coming in is going away. So to commit to something for a long term, you know, may not be a wise decision. I know that we're trying to come up with a formula for how we can fund this so that we can feel good about it and you can feel good about it for the long term. So essentially, I'm okay with the existing number and okay with considering the cost of living, and that's where I feel on it right now.
All right, thank you, Ed. Dennis, you have any statements? Or?
Yes, I do. I'm going to separate mine a little bit. One is immediate needs and what we're to decide for this budget hearing from a long-term solution, and I'm going to address both those. This is my 14th budget hearing I've gone through, and probably besides Clay and Stephanie, I probably outlive every person in this room here. Oh, Kathleen, I'm sorry. Okay, let's just say hands. Been more than 14 years. Thank you. That is dedication, and I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Okay. And I certainly don't deserve any award for that, but it's been every year for 14 years that I've done this. At the end of this discussion, we always discuss how we're going to save the system and do it better next year. Every year we come back with exactly the same system. Well, I take that. One time we did go to a fixed rate, I think, for 1 year anyway. I'm going to be real clear right to the point of where I stand on this budget here, is that I'm not in favor of any additional funding for any group. I'm not in favor of adding any new groups. I am in favor of COLA. That's where I stand on the thing, and I will say that at the next meeting too. We have an amount of money that the city has made a determination or started making a determination that we have that we could spend in this budget cycle. And again, you know, this has been across the board, but our employees also have not had raises either for a number of years. And so that's my stand on this budget here. And everyone that's in this program here is going to get a CPI increase, and they're going to keep their funding. That's from my standpoint. Okay. Now I'm going to address long-term solutions. This may sound severe, but I think we need to dismantle the whole system that we've created. In other words, I think that we need to rebuild this system. And the things that we need to bring out of a new system would be the possibility of creating a line item with the city and what is a fair and equitable way to do that. We should find a way to justify in an intelligent manner, intelligent system, what group gets how much money and what groups are included and what aren't. This hasn't been done for 14 years. We inherited, this council 20 years ago inherited basically the same program that we struggle with every time. So I think we need to go back to ground zero, and to do that, I feel what we need to do is actually create some sort of subcommittee, and I never want to say a number of people are on it, but one idea would be to take two members from community groups, 2 council members, and 2 staff, and take 6 months and go through this whole process here. And we look at, we have everybody's budget, we have everybody's requests in the past, we have a track record on every group probably for at least 10 years, maybe less. And that we look at reinventing the wheel here. It's time to do that. We never seem to be able to come out of this fray of taking on what we did in the past, and it's time. I think it's time to do that. But it needs to be done in 6 months, because if it takes any longer, we're back into the next year's budget session. And so that's as clear as I can make that, how I stand on both those issues.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. And yes. Oh, Stephanie. Yes, excuse me.
Just a couple of comments on that. I don't know what we would do differently, but if you have some ideas, come up with them. In the meantime, I think what we have works, and it's not perfect, but we see the amount that they've received and requested and clients and so forth. The subcommittee did actually a lot of pretty thorough work last year, and we went through the numbers and we went through the number of clients to see if we could trim anything there. And then we had to remember that some clients cost more than other clients do in services. And so we had a bunch of things that we weighed, and we ended up kind of modestly, I think, trimming down $25,000 or something like that, and then keeping pretty much the other funding for the others. But we really took a look at it and talked about it quite a bit, that there weren't any that were non-essential. If you have any that you want to suggest, then we can talk about those. But they're all worthy of a level of funding, and I think they still are. So, as I say, I don't know what we do differently, but if you have some other ideas, let us know. I think it's vital that we go to 2 years at least, if you don't want to go to longer. I'd like to go to longer, but 2 years will buy them some time, buy us some time, and we can see where we are. But we're in pretty good shape this year. We were really lucky. We had a lot of problems last year and in previous years, but we have a little money this year that we could give a little more with, and we haven't given COLAs to the community groups. We added a couple little groups, but we haven't really given them COLA. Maybe we could look that up and bring that back to our next meeting, and Lisa could tell us what the COLAs have maybe been in the past. Just a brief overview. It hasn't been much. It's hasn't been much to talk about, but 2 years would be great, because it would continue this item for a little bit longer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the subcommittee recommends. I don't think it's going to be much different than last year. I mean, because we talked about all those things, and if there's some we can, do with that, I'd like to tell the clients that. I'd like to say, we're going to do without those services, which I don't think we're willing to do, because they're all so important. So I think we've done a good job. We should keep it up and move ahead for 2 years, and come back with some other little smaller changes that we maybe see with some of these requests and additional funding. See what we can come up with.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. I'm hoping, and I think that we should, for the benefit of staff and for the benefit of all the community programs, try to come up with some general dollar amounts. That way we're talking about, so we can do some budget planning. The current budget has just a flat funding level at $254 for community programs, and even if we're going to add a COLA, and also for the second year, which I think is a great idea, we should start having staff look at that and work that into their budget projections. So I want to say, Mike, I understand, I know exactly how they do it. Okay, they're very efficient, they're very productive, they bring in private donors, and they bring in a lot of volunteers. I think the city gets a great return. The citizens get a great return on the modest dollars. And I do want to acknowledge that during the bad times, the community programs have taken their cuts. We were at one point within the last 5 years at almost $300,000 in community programs. It has now gone down to $254,000. And I know, I mean, Dennis, you talk about trying to, work with them to look at how to revamp this. We are already being given information, though, about where the needs are through the form of the request. This is the system. And I would like, instead of just dismissing it, I would like us to see maybe to consider some of the additional funding requests and come up with a mechanism for evaluating them. And my goal would be to actually fund some of them. The city does have its own issues which community programs can help us solve. We have issues with ADA accessibility and the really tremendous cost to the city in dealing with those. And we have programs that actually live day to day with the disability community and see and observe and have to deal with the ADA obstacles. I think that we should partner with them to help ourselves and ultimately save money and to help us improve our ADA action plan. Also, the city has always been a tremendous supporter of senior services and the seniors in our community. And I would like us to see us maintain that reputation, those values, and that's to be done through the form of really funding the programs that meet the vital needs of the low-income seniors that reside in our community. And so I think it's a good idea. I certainly want to support your idea, Dennis, of setting up a working committee to maybe look at how do we build in community programs as a line item. Is it possible to come up with a formula approach that we can all agree on, but understand the ramifications of it year after year, so that hopefully future councils would be able to honor and use it. And so, I mean, with that, I'm hoping that it sounds like we have talked about at least approving the COLAs for the 2 years. I assume that maybe there's direction to staff here to look at building that into our draft budget moving forward, looking at a 2-year contract. But I would also hope that we could maybe look at talking about getting back up to and not even going all the way to where we were at the high watermark, but incrementally and through the process of reviewing these requests for additional funding for supplemental and seeing which ones may really be of the most value and benefit for the residents of Capitola. So that's what I would propose. And so I was wondering, does council have maybe any particular direction to staff that you would like to see them work on or pursue before we come back to this? Yes, Mike.
Mr. Mayor, I think the only real solid advice we can give to staff is that the council seems pretty unanimous in a 2-year program with COLAs across the board. It comes for 2 years, each of 2 years, which is about a $6,000 bump.
Maybe not all of them had COLAs.
Well, no, I'm talking about, I just took 2.6% of 254. You're going to give a COLA, give a COLA. That's the way it should go. And we have been flat for many, many years and even gone backwards. As far as the new groups, that still remains to be seen, and I think perhaps a recommendation from the subcommittee and then another agenda item at one of our budget sessions to see where the votes lie, because it's going to really be a slice and dice. I don't see it going all the way up to 300 with everyone's special requests, but the subcommittee will probably bring something back.
Sure,
I'm feeling,
okay.
I don't know, Sam, you're on the subcommittee with me. I'm feeling some movement with regard to some new organizations or some additional funding. Maybe not. But it depends on, maybe the subcommittee should bring something back and see what the council feels about it.
Well, if that's acceptable to the rest of the council, maybe the subcommittee could review the additional request and try to make some determination. There's some hard determinations, but I think there are something, I think that we can establish some criteria about, what is the available funding that we have, which of these requests are going to provide the greatest value for the city and the residents of Capitola. And we can make some recommendations and bring them back. And it would be up for council to consider it, and a majority of us will ultimately have the final say. And Dennis, on your point about looking at, on a longer-term analysis, maybe the subcommittee could be, if you're willing, Mike, we have the genesis of starting to look at that and study it. Maybe we can invite and the Human Care Alliance to send either one or two representatives to join us at some of the meetings, and let's have a frank discussion about the possibilities, and also as long as everyone is aware of the potential ramifications and consequences of such a line item formula. So I think that that's good if the council is at least in agreement that we study the matter and bring something back. And now that's going to take much longer to be able to do that. So, okay. So it seems like the staff feel like they have enough direction here to move forward in the budget preparation.
Yeah, I think I do. I think what I'd like to also find out is if we could meet next week, because the time is of the essence, right? Because we've got to get this stuff out. So I'll contact both of you to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Okay, anything else? Any further comments from council members? Hearing none, I'm going to adjourn this meeting to the next special budget session of the City Council, which will be held on Wednesday, June the 4th at 6 p.m. in the City Hall chambers. Thanks, everyone, for being here this evening, and good night,
Thank you.
Capitola.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
That's right.